Part 36. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 366. Ha ha ha. As for it, looking at Chuxia, who was holding her belly with a smile and out of breath, Daodu's shoes, who didn't understand the situation, were stunned. As for Luo Xiaoqian, said helplessly, "You don't think it's because you don't know about Zhong Hongying and my brother, nor about Zhong Hongying and Lu Lianchang. Otherwise, you are more mysterious than her." Laughing. After Luo Xiaoqian finished telling about the relationship between Zhong Hongying, Luo Hunky, and Lu Lianbao, Yun Daodu was speechless, and Chuxia poked her. "Are you scared? Now you don't think I'm exaggerating, do you?" Jun Daodu looked puzzled. "No, I'm wondering, didn't Company Commander Lu say that he would marry her after the mission came back? Why did she change her mind in a blink of an eye?" Luo Xiaoqian rolled her eyes. "Do you think she really wants to marry my brother? She is worried now. What if Lu Lianchang is injured or worse, so she has to prepare a way out for herself in advance, understand? Is there such a woman in the world?" Yun Daodu rubbed her forehead. She really didn't know what to say. She always thought that her mother was enough for her to accept, but it turned out that there were people more snobbish than her mother. "It must be that people always talk about it when I go back to my hometown. She is quite stressed, so she came up with such a plan. You see, if Lu Lianchang is fine when he comes back, she will definitely marry Lu Lianchang immediately. If Lu Lianchang has a hurt or something, she must pat her butt and hide as far as she can. It's true that every man must have a daughter. Before, I thought she was different from her mother, but now it seems that my eyesight is not good enough. Not only is she the same as her mother, she is even shameless than her mother. Her mother just opened her mouth without checking the door, and she likes to talk nonsense. She likes to step on the high and step on the low. As for her, she is directly morally corrupt." Jun Daodu still looked confused. "I still don't understand. She is not afraid that your brother and Lu Lianchang will know each other and don't want her? For this kind of person, you can't think about it in a normal way. In the letter she wrote to my brother, she specifically stated that she didn't want to marry Lianchang Lu. She felt that she was not a good match for Lianchang Lu, so she took the initiative to ask for demobilization. Or she could be straightforward. The explanation is that she was demobilized because of my brother. It's really shameless." Yun Daodu shook her head. "I can think of such a reason. I really convinced her. If I were, I would definitely worry about what to do, because the possibility of leaking in this matter is 100%. Well, I really don't understand where her confidence comes from." "It came from my brother." Luo Xiaoqian sighed helplessly. "You don't know how stupid my brother is. You knew she was using him. He still treats her well. Even, because of her, she can turn against my parents. Zhong Hongying must feel that my brother is still thinking about her now, and her previous letters to my brother were cold and emotionless, but this time she wrote them with enthusiasm. She must have felt that my brother would be so happy when he received her letter that he couldn't go anywhere. He agreed to her immediately. Then, during the next period of time we got along, she slowly turned indifferent to my brother, and after Lu Lianchang came back, she finally made up her mind, and then decided on her attitude towards my brother in the future. To be honest, this is why my brother wanted to come here, and he also met someone he likes. Now I can analyze it calmly here, otherwise, I would be mad at my brother. My brother is so stubborn. If he hadn't met Zhang Erniu, he might accept Zhong Hongying again, that girl he likes since childhood, even if he knew she didn't like him. As long as she was willing to be with him, he would. I'm so happy. Of course, this was before, but now, all his thoughts have turned to Zhang Erniu, so I have nothing to worry about. As long as Zhang Erniu doesn't change his mind, my brother will never change his mind. He's just such a stubborn, unyielding, and dead-tempered person. Whether it's good or bad, it's fine when you choose the right person, but when you choose the wrong person, You really can. It ruined his life, but fortunately, he chose the right one. It's his luck. Well, your brother is quite unexpected, Chusia answered with a smile. Daodu, you have never dealt with him before, his stubbornness is definitely not comparable to ordinary people. However, he also has an advantage, that is, he does not have such a strong desire for comparison, and he clearly knows his own strengths and weaknesses, and can recognize his own position, which is quite rare. You're saying that he's self-aware and doesn't want to go to university? Luo Xiaoqing rolled his eyes. That's because he gets a headache just looking at the words, and he can't learn. Yun Daodu shook her head amusedly. Fortunately, he is your brother. Whether he belongs to my own brother or not, I have to tell the truth, Luo Xiaoqing said with a smile. However, I am very satisfied now. My brother can become what he is now. I dare not even think about it. After I wrote to my parents and told them, they were very happy. I guess after knowing about my brother and Zhang Erniu, my parents will definitely come and have a look, and they will even rush to the Zhang family to settle the matter. Now it's just a slack season, so it's really possible, Chu Xia said. Jun Daodu looked at the two of them enviously. Your parents are so kind, and they are so tolerant to the children. It will be great when my mother can be like this. In the whole village, only Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan loved her daughter the most, followed by Luo Gangshun and Fat Ant, and Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoqing were all put together. They didn't answer, but the expression of smiling eyes said everything. Yun Dodo's heart became even more sour, and he stared at the two of them bitterly. If you laugh again, I'll sew you up. Are you trying to get mad at me? Chu Xia poked her forehead and laughed at her. Be content, you still have an adoptive father and adoptive mother who loves you. They treat you better than their own son. What are you sour about? That's right. My brother and my sister-in-law will be fine when I settle down to visit them. Then, you two will go together, okay? Okay, as long as we can be in a class, we will go together, Chu Xia said, looking at the time. I guess they are almost done with their work. Have you figured out how the next time will pass? Luo Xiaoqing blinked her eyes, and shook her head in confusion. No, I just want to stay together for a while after I'm done with work, just a little longer. What about you? Chu Xia looked at Yun Daodu. I didn't think about it. If it doesn't work, I'll continue to bake sweet potatoes. I think it's nice to sit here to be warm and talk well. I don't have any constructive suggestions at all. Chu Xia rolled his eyes and stared at the ceiling in a daze. What's your idea? They both asked in unison. No, someone shook his head without thinking. Luo Xiaoqing and Yun Daodu were both speechless. Seeing someone's upright look just now, they thought she had some good idea. Chu Xia expressed that she was very conflicted. She asked the two of them for their opinions because she was not familiar with the fun things of this era. It's so cold, so she can't go out to have a shower, right? Luo Xiaoqing slapped her forehead fiercely. Sweet potatoes are so filling. Erniu's family sent her some chestnuts and peanuts, or, I'll ask her for some. Let's roast chestnuts and peanuts. The three of them discussed for a while and unanimously agreed to her decision. Before leaving, it would be nice to sit and chat quietly for a while, which is warm and enhances the relationship, but, Chu Xia looked at Luo Xiaoqing and Yun Daodu, the words that came to his lips were swallowed back again. In this day and age, the most intimate gesture between lovers is to hold hands when they are behind their backs. If she asks if they feel a little regretful that they can't be alone, they will probably be frightened by her openness. Or, it might affect the relationship between the three of them in the future. However, thinking of this, she no longer had the worries she had just now. Being together might be what they really wanted, so she didn't need to add superfluous things. Zhang Erniu was very happy to see Chuxia and Luo Xiaoqing coming together. Hearing what Luo Xiaoqing said, she went back to the dormitory without saying a word, and brought over a bag of peanuts and chestnuts that was half the size of a pillow. She smiled embarrassedly and stuffed them into Luo Xiaoqing's hands. giving some to roommates to eat, that's all that's left. It doesn't need to be so much. Luo Xiaoxian hurriedly drew her hands behind her back, we just need 2 handfuls, your parents sent them all the way to you, if you know that they are all in our stomachs, why don't you feel so sorry? Zhang Erniu blushed and waved her hands again and again, my parents are not stingy people. If they know you like it, they might not be so happy. Chu Xia laughed and joked, that is, my sister-in-law likes it, which means you have no enemies in your husband's family. Chu Xia. Zhang Erniu's small face turned red up to her ears in an instant, and she looked at Chu Xia with both annoyance and strangeness, revealing an indescribable coquettishness. Your brother really has a good eye. Chu Xia smiled and pinched Zhang Erniu's face, for the first time, I feel that using a red apple to describe a girl's face can't be more vivid. Don't tease her. Luo Xiaoxian dragged Chu Xia out, taking advantage of the quarrel between the two of them. She had packed 2 pockets of peanuts and chestnuts, and stuffed the rest into Zhang Erniu's drawer. I don't know where Piao went, and I didn't notice it at all, so I let the 2 leave the nurse's room with a smile. After she realized that the 2 of them seemed to be walking away empty-handed, she hurriedly looked around to find her small bag. Just in time, a few nurses came in. Seeing her looking around, they asked, Zhang Erniu, what are you looking for? No. It's nothing. Zhang Erniu became nervous all of a sudden. If a few nurses found her pouch, then she wouldn't be able to keep any of it, she was still not willing to eat it. While walking, Luo Xiaoxian suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Chu Xia looked at her suspiciously. I should tell Erniu where I put the bag, so as not to cause any misunderstanding. As she spoke, she took out the chestnuts and peanuts in her pocket and put them in Chu Xia's pocket. You go back first, in case the leader comes back. If I don't see you, I'll be anxious. You 2 are newlyweds, you are different from us, hee hee. Chu Xia. How can she think this girl is so pure? She was wrong. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 367. As soon as it arrives, everyone stays in the same department. If you have good things, you can hide them and eat them yourself. What do you say? We usually let you have whatever delicious food we have. Are you too petty? Zhang Yuiyu, people want to give gifts, can you stop being so ignorant? I don't. It's nothing. You just want to stay in our orthopedics department. It's normal. People go to higher places. It's a pity that Director Wang trusted you so much, but you turned out to be her traitor. You 2 stop fighting, Erniu is not that kind of person. That's what she is. I'm not. Boom, the door was pushed open, the quarrel stopped abruptly, and several people turned their heads to look at the door. Xiaoxian. Looking at Luo Xiaoxian standing at the door angrily, Zhang Erniu's face turned red. This is the nurse's restroom, get out. A strong nurse came to push her, but Luo Xiaoxian staggered her backhand and took 2 steps back to stand firm. If I don't let the security department arrest you, my surname will not be Zhang. Zhang Erniu hurried forward and grabbed the little nurse's sleeve. Sister Zhang, Xiaoxian is my friend, she came to look for me, she was not careful, she didn't mean it, don't be angry. Accidentally. Didn't it mean it? Nurse Zhang shook off Zhang Erniu, who was holding her hand, and looked at the other 2 nurses standing by the table. Li Mei, Lu Ziahe, you were just watching. Do you think Zhang Erniu's friend is intentional or unintentional? If this is considered unintentional, then... The small nurse pushed hard on Zhang Erniu's waist. Unprepared, Zhang Erniu slammed into the corner of the table. Then I didn't mean to. Li Mei, what are you doing? The taller nurse, supposedly named Lu Ziahe, supported Zhang Erniu, and glared at the smaller nurse. Erniu is honest, don't bully her all the time. It's fine, I'm fine. Zhang Erniu waved her hands again and stood up straight. Seeing that Luo Xiaoxian had clenched her hands into fists, She hurriedly pushed her outside. Ziokshan. They were just kidding with me. It's okay son, it's just a joke. Girl, I can tell what is joking and what is bullying. Luo Ziokshan glared at Zhang Yuyu and Li Mei angrily, because you came early, you can bully people like this. Zhang Yuyu snorted coldly, it's none of your business. I haven't settled with you yet, but you sent it to your door yourself. If you have the ability, you wait here. Sister Zhang Erniu panicked, so she ran to the door to lock the latch, and leaned against the door tightly. I'll help you clean for a week. Don't ask the security department, okay? Erniu, don't beg her. You tell her to go to the security department. Luo Ziokshan said as she picked up the small cloth bag spread on the table. Leave the things here for a while. They almost got robbed now, I wish the security department would judge me. What kind of behavior are they doing, she said, picking up Zhang Erniu, go to teacher Yu, she took you here from teacher Wang, not to let you be bullied of. You clean up the hygiene, you do the dirty work, you have to share food with them, and if you don't give it, you will grab it and scold them. I don't believe that teacher Yu will let them continue to do this when he finds out. As an assistant to the dean these days, she may not have learned much in medical skills, but she has definitely learned a lot in her manners. Zhang Erniu hesitated and let the door open. Zhang Yuyu hesitated at this time. Li Mei reacted faster than her, and she had already grabbed Luo Ziokshan's hand and smiled like a flower. Ziokshan, we are just kidding, do you take it seriously? Yeah, we always play around like this. If we turn our faces when we quarrel, how can we get along with each other? Zhang Yuyu also said with a half-hearted smile. She was reluctant in her heart, and it was naturally ugly when she left. Thinking about how Chuxia and the others are still waiting, Zhang Erniu still has to practice here, and Luo Ziokshan doesn't want to quarrel with them anymore, so she looks at Zhang Erniu. Girl, I listen to your opinion. If you really make trouble like this, I won't bother with them. If they are targeting you, then let's go to teacher Yu now. It's just like this, so there's no need to look for it. Zhang Erniu was in a good mood, and immediately went down the slope. Zhang Yuyu and Li Mei were obviously relieved. Luo Ziokshan had a panoramic view of their expressions, and knew it in her heart. Zhang Erniu was her future sister-in-law. Of course, she couldn't let her be bullied by others, but this matter couldn't be rushed at this moment. She turned around and played with them slowly. Son. Erniu, they are clearly bullying you. After leaving the door, Luo Ziokshan scolded Zhang Erniu with a fierce face, you can't be too gentle with these people. If there is something to do in the afternoon, we must not let them off lightly. It's okay, they just don't speak well, and they don't really bother me. Besides, they have been here for a long time, so they must be picky about newcomers. Not only them, but also the people under the other teachers. Those who just arrived have to wash the underwear and shoes of the old nurse. They live in the same dormitory, and the one who powers the urinal must be an intern. I'm fine, the room is full of interns, and everyone gets along pretty well after work, and they don't make fun of my poor family or my lack of literacy, they even teach me. We'll talk about it later. Luo Ziokshan shook the small bag in his hand. I'll take your chestnuts and peanuts away first, or if you don't want to explain it, I'll put it back at my brother's place and let him keep it for you. It can even get into your mouth. No need, you can just eat it. It's all shared by our family. My parents sent it here because they were afraid that I would be greedy. In fact, I eat it every year. How could I be greedy? I originally wanted to give it to you and Chuxia Meijun. Food, you guys helped me the most, I will always remember it. Okay, I won't be polite to you anymore, anyway, you will be my sister-in-law from now on, that's alright, you can go back to work, they shouldn't dare to bully you for the time being, I will rest next week and come to see you, if they are not sensible, don't blame me for being rude. Look at what you said, it seems like I've been so angry. When a newcomer is like this, I've already gotten used to it, Jong Ernio said with a chuckle. However, seeing you like this makes me feel relieved, which means that you are no bullying over there. Are you okay? Chu Xia and Yun Daodu came over. They couldn't wait for Luo Xiaoqing in the office, so they guessed that they must be in trouble, locked the door and came over. Hello. Jong Ernio was not familiar with Yun Daodu. She covered her head and couldn't remember her name for a while. My name is Yun Daodu. Yun Daodu reached out to her. Niu, we will be good friends from now on. Pu, Chu Xia sprayed all of a sudden. Why did she have the feeling of seeing kindergarten children meet? Why are you laughing? Yun Daodu glared at her. We didn't know each other well before. I admire her very much now. Okay, my fault. Chu Xia pointed at the bag in Luo Xiaoqing's hand. I said, you came back just to take away Niu's inventory. We can't do this, it feels like a ghost has entered the village. No, early summer, that's not the case. Jong Ernio was an honest child. She blushed so thickly that she wanted to help Luo Xiaoqing explain, but she didn't know what to say, so she just stuck there, her face turned even redder up. I'll talk to them later about this matter. If you hadn't been at work, I would have let you get together with us, girl. See you some other day. Seeing Zhou Mikang and Zhou Hanliang walking this way from a distance, Luo Xiaoqing waved. He waved his hands, and hurriedly dragged Chu Xia and Yun Daodu away. She knew that Chu Xia didn't want others to look at her differently because of Zhou Mikang's affairs, so she paid special attention to this matter. In fact, Chu Xia didn't care so much now. I knew you were here after the two met. Zhou Mikang cast a reproachful glance at Chu Xia. There will be plenty of time to come over in the future. Why do you have to be in such a hurry? We're here to find something to eat. Knowing that he cherishes every minute we spend together, Chu Xia didn't argue with him, but explained the reason for coming to him in a friendly manner. The head of the regiment had black lines all over his head. Is there any order in the cafeteria? You can just wait for me to come back and get it, and you have to get the parents out of their mouths. Yeah. Chu Xia slapped his forehead fiercely. Why didn't we think of it? When Xiaoqing said it, we were still as happy as New Year's. However, we didn't want to take advantage of Niu's favor, but we thought about giving her the food stamps and cloth stamps we saved, and asked her to send them home to her parents. Hearing what the head of the group said, and thinking about it, Jong Ernio was pissed and Luo Xiaoqing immediately fainted. Fortunately, she thought she was very capable just now, but it turned out to be a stick. Then you pack a bag later, and I'll give it back to Niu. If she doesn't want it, we can solve it together, Chu Xia said as he snatched the bag from Luo Xiaoqing's hand and stuffed it to Zhou Mikang. You guys go first while it's baking, Xiaoqing and I will go find my brother. Zhou Mikang grabbed her. We've already told him that he will come over after he goes back and tidied up his things. How did you know that we were going to bake in the house? Chu Xia asked with a puzzled look on his face. Think about it with your toes. He also knows where to find Luo Xiaoqing. What does it have to do with baking? Chu Xia. Sure enough, within a few minutes after they returned to the office, Zhao Qiliang trotted over. However, in front of Zhou Mikang and Zhou Hanliang, he was obviously a little nervous. This afternoon, 3 couples of young people were sitting around the fireplace, chatting with each other. The topics ranged from farm life to army building, and the topics were extremely broad. No matter what the future holds, this moment is warm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 368. The second one arrives. Thank you for your support. There is a guaranteed pink one. Let's warm it up, although I know it won't make the list, but I can't be too unpromising. Please ask for votes, there may be unexpected surprises, hee hee. Boom boom boom. Several people were chatting happily when the door was knocked lightly. Jo Han-liang was facing the window, saw the person standing outside the door, and his face was happy. "It's my sister." He got up and opened the door while talking. "Haining, why are you here?" Being watched by the whole room, Jo Haining was a little embarrassed, so she smiled shyly and handed him the bundle in her hand. "Grandma and mother made some bean buns, let me bring them to you. Didn't I eat when I went home 2 days ago?" Jo Han-liang dragged his sister in and introduced everyone to her one by one. Both Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian met Jo Haining for the first time, so they took a closer look at her. Her eyebrows were light and thin, and her complexion was a little darker. She was much prettier than Jo Han-liang. When I saw Jo Han-liang for the first time, Chu Xia thought he was a middle-aged man. Fortunately, his younger sister was not old. She had heard from Jo Mikang before that Jo Haining was 23 years old this year, and his actual age was still very consistent. Pulling the chestnuts and peanuts on the stove to the plate, Chu Xia quietly pulled Yun Daodu's sleeve, and the other party looked at her in confusion, with 3 words "What's the matter?" clearly written in his eyes. Can't make it clear, Chu Xia had no choice but to sip the small plates filled with peanuts and chestnuts. He signaled Yun Daodu to give it to the future sister-in-law to make contact with each other. Result: the confused Daodu children's shoes misunderstood Chu Xia's meaning, and reached out to pick up a chestnut. Crack, squeeze it, take out the burnt yellow chestnut meat, stuff it into Chu Xia's hand, then pick up another crack, and stuff it into Luo Xiaoxian, then pick up another crack and stuff it into her mouth, and then pick up another crack in Chuxia's hands. Chu Xia was clutching her cheeks, feeling like she had a toothache. Luo Xiaoxian drooped her head and her shoulders twitched. Well, it's not that they don't want to be kind. However, Daodu's children's shoe soul-wandering movements are really so stylish. "Brother, Yuxiang said that she would come to see you later. She sent pancakes to her brother, and she also brought some pancakes for you." Jo Haining's words effectively brought Yun Daodu's mind back, and her eyes that had been diverging quickly gathered together, staring straight at Jo Han-liang, her brows still frowning tightly. Jo Han-liang shook his head amusedly. "Seriously, looked at my sister. Didn't I tell you, no matter how Li Yuxiang begs you, don't bring her to see brother, you already have a sister-in-law. You have to consider your sister-in-law's mood, right? Elder brother. Aren't you about to go on a mission? In normal times, I would definitely not agree to her." Jo Haining blushed and lowered her head. "Besides, you and Sister Daodu broke up before, she knows it all. I can't fool her with this at all." Speaking and looking at Yun Daodu apologetically, "Sister Daodu, I'm sorry, I didn't know you and my brother were reconciled again. I didn't mean it, I'm sorry." "It's okay, it's just right here." Yun Daodupi looked at Jo Han-liang with a smile. "Are you determined to solve it once? You promised me." "Okay, I'll introduce you to her later. I believe she will retreat in spite of the difficulties." When Cao arrived, a short-haired girl flashed by the window. Jo Haining hurriedly got up and went to open the door. "Yuxiang, come in quickly, my brother is here, and my sister-in-law is also here." Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian looked at each other, and there was a faint smile in their eyes. What Jo Haining said was very interesting, but it showed that she didn't dislike Yun Daodu, but it was really like what she said, know how to reject Li Yuxiang. The smile on Li Yuxiang's face froze obviously, and then she automatically ignored Jo Haining's introduction, and walked straight to Jo Han-liang. "Brother Han-liang, let me send you some cakes baked by my mother, and this." He took out a stack of insoles embroidered with flowers from his bag. "I gave you this, and I wanted to give it to you during the Chinese New Year. Yuxiang, give these to your brother, I don't want them." Feeling a small hand twisting back and forth on his waist, Jo Han-liang smiled wryly. His father and mother and Li Yuxiang's parents always thought that the two could become in-laws, but he didn't care about Li Yuxiang at all, and finally let his parents give up the idea, but Li Shu and Aunt Li still insisted. I have always been indifferent. Standing up and pulling Yun Daodu up, Zhou Hanliang looked at Li Yuxiang with a serious expression. Yuxiang, let me introduce you. This is your sister-in-law Yun Daodu. When I come back, we will get married. Although Yun Daodu had never been to Li's house, it was not the first time she met Li Yuxiang. When she and Zhou Hanliang first got along, Zhou Haining came to Zhou Hanliang and brought Li Yuxiang with her. It wasn't very clear, so Li Yuxiang deliberately wooed Zhou Haining to reject her, so she didn't say anything, but now it's different, she has already recognized Zhou Hanliang, so naturally she can't let him play the poor and infatuated girl. She doesn't understand why Li Yuxiang, who is 1.7 meters tall and has a strong physique, likes to pretend to be pitiful with tears in her eyes so much. When they met last time, she also showed this expression, and it was also because Zhou Hanliang didn't accept things when he gave them something. The skin is really not ordinary thick. Zhou Hanliang. Yun Daodu took a step back and stared at Zhou Hanliang seriously. We are lovers now, and then we are husband and wife. You know what kind of personality I am. I shouldn't force you like this. But I don't rub the sand in my eyes, so you should know what to do, right? You can't force brother Han Liang like this. He is the son-in-law my parents have recognized since childhood, and I am also the daughter-in-law recognized by Uncle Joe and Aunt Joe since childhood. There is a child relative between us. Yun Daodu glanced at her, but didn't say anything. A smart woman would not directly confront her love rival. She asked Zhou Hanliang to solve this trouble in front of her. Li Yuxiang, Daodu is my Zhou Hanliang's wife. If you recognize me as brother, you must recognize her as sister-in-law. If you don't respect her, you don't respect me. As for me and you, I think I made it clear a long time ago that I rejected you before I met Daodu. At that time, because of my old appearance, many girls looked down on me, but I still rejected you. Why? You're not stupid, you should understand what's going on, right? People say that women have a problem, that what they can't get is the best. Now, you have committed this problem and you have to correct it. Let me tell you this, even if I am a bachelor all my life, I will never marry you. It is not a question of whether you are good or bad, but I have never thought about marrying a younger sister as a wife. Li Yuxiang bit her lip hard. You don't want my brother to marry your sister? You. Zhou Haining frowned. Yuxiang, what is my brother's business with Yuxiang? How can you threaten my brother with this? I don't need my brother to answer this matter. Let me tell you, if your brother is really provoked by you not to marry me, then he is not worthy of my marriage, let alone my trust. There are many good men in my brother's army. When my brother comes back, I will ask my brother to find me. Anyway, even if I don't marry, I can't let you threaten my brother with this matter. Sister Daodu, oh, no, sister-in-law, Li Yuxiang used to say that you are from a big city and look down on us. When you marry into our family, my parents will be appointed to suffer. I am stupid, so I believe it. It's not good, I apologize to you. Sister-in-law, I testify that my brother really likes you. After you said you broke up last time, when I came to see my brother, I found that he had a stubble and suddenly aged 10 years. I used to hear people say that people only collapsed when they got a serious illness. I was terrified at the time, and I cried while hugging my brother. Now that I think about it, it's really embarrassing. Sister-in-law, I will have a good time with you in the future. Don't blame my brother. It's my fault, so I will not let Li Yuxiang meet my brother in the future. The corner of Zhou Mikang's mouth twitched. Just that time, Zheng Meili misunderstood that Zhou Hanliang and Yun Daodu had moved on as soon as they broke up. Or maybe there was no such misunderstanding. Zheng Meili might have the intention to develop with Zhou Hanliang. It seems that this person, who is with whom, is really destined. Just like him, turning his head to look at his young wife with bright eyes and a gossip face, he immediately became black-lined. This guy, can he act a little more mature at this time? Why do you have an expression of fearing that the world will not be chaotic? However, my little wife is really pretty, even when gossiping. Sensing his gaze, Chusia turned her head back, met his gaze, and quickly burst into a bright smile, then turned her head and continued to gossip. But, why did Li Yuxiang run away crying just as soon as she turned her head? What happens? She looked at Luo Xiaoxian inquiringly, and the other person was also confused, saying that she didn't understand either. At this time, Zhou Haining looked relaxed, holding Zhou Mikang's hand and Yun Daodu's hand together. She won't make love with me in the future, you two are together well, anyway, it is worthwhile for me to offend her. Everyone. This time parting, the return date is uncertain, so there is an unprecedented accommodation. Those who have relatives and friends in Sidia can stay overnight. However, if they do not return before the departure, not only will they be disqualified from this mission, and they will also be expelled from the military. In this way, Zhaoqi Liang, Zhouhan Liang, Luo Xiaoxian, and Yun Daodu returned to Zhou's house along with Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang. They ate dinner at Zhou's house, and Mr. Wan and Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were also taken to Zhou's house. Even if they didn't know anything about the troops, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan felt something unusual from this battle. Taking advantage of the hot chat and not paying attention to their space, Zhao Yulan asked Chu Xia in a low voice, "You and mother, tell the truth, my little brother, is it dangerous for me and your brother to go on a mission this time? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind." Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 369. As soon as it arrives. Xia, you have to tell the truth. Your mother and I have no foundation. If you lie, we will have no foundation. Afraid that his daughter would lie, Lin Baohe followed his wife's words again. Emphasized it again. Father, mother, they just left for a little longer, so don't worry, it's fine, Chu Xia said while serving food for the two of them, without deliberately lowering her voice. Baohe, Yulan. Zhou Jingping raised his wine to Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. You care about Xiaomi like your son, thank you. It should be. Lin Baohe raised his glass excitedly and drank it down. Holding the wine glass in her hand, Zhao Yulan looked at her husband, then at Zhou Jingping, with a look of bewilderment. Chu Xia was also defeated by her father. Her dear father is still so nervous. Zhou Jingping quickly drained the wine in the glass when Lin Baohe drank it down, and smoothed things over with a smile. My in-laws are really cheerful. After drinking, Lin Baohe followed Zhou Jingping's words and laughed a few times before he suddenly realized what a ridiculous mistake he had made. His face flushed instantly, and he decided to pour a glass of wine and toast back, lest people say he is greedy for alcohol. So go back and be disrespectful. What did I do just now? My in-laws. Zhou Jingping came to him with a glass of wine, and put his big hands on his shoulders. I really like your character, you are straightforward, without messy twists and turns, and you don't get tired when you get along. After you. Can you treat me as a relative, as a brother? I'm a few years older than you, so I'll take advantage of you with my thick face. Okay. This. Lin Baohe's face was full of nervousness, excitement, all kinds of emotions were mixed with changing back and forth, and his lips were quivering, let alone knowing what to say. Lin Yangqiu talked about Chu Xia, asked her to switch seats with him, sat next to Zhao Yulan, and took her hand affectionately. Sister, let the old brothers make a fuss, let's talk about each other. Hey, hey, Zhao Yulan responded repeatedly, with the same expression as Lin Baohe. Sister. We are a family, a real family. You are just a girl like Chu Xia, and you will definitely live with the young couple in the future. As for us, we want to live with a few children when we get old. Then when we get old, we will definitely live together. They want to live together, you say. Are these relatives closer than brothers and sisters? Yes, yes. Apart from this repeated and emphatic answer, Zhao Yulan couldn't find any other words. Brothers and sisters are separated when they get married. But what about us? But it is a great fate to be able to accompany and support the elderly together. Lin Yangkai continued, that's why we get along with each other. It must be changed, right? Yes, yes. Zhao Yulan, who was in a state of confusion, reflexively repeated her words. So, from now on, the two of you will regard the Zhou family as your own home and get along with us. It's the same as getting along with brothers and sisters. Treat the juniors in the family the same as you treat other children and nephews, so that the children can rest assured you work hard and don't worry about us, right? Yep. Chu Xia stroked her forehead helplessly. Her old lady had already completely followed her mother-in-law's train of thought, or she didn't know what she answered now, but she definitely felt in her heart that what her mother-in-law said was quite right. As for his father, after Zhou Jingping made peace, he has already become a brother and brother with him. Of course, the factor of alcohol stimulation cannot be ruled out, or he may return to the starting point tomorrow. Xia. Mrs. Zhou, who had been laughing and watching the couple's relationship, lightly touched Chu Xia's hand, and lowered her voice, your friends are uncomfortable, sit down and accompany them. Chu Xia's eyes quickly turned to the outsiders. Zhou Hanliang and Yun Daodu were fine. They were familiar with the juniors of the Zhou family. They were whispering something to Zhou Huikang at this time. Luo Xiaoqiang and Zhao Qiliang just sat there stiffly, motionless like two wooden men. The second Aunt Liang Xiaohong talked to them, and they shook their heads and nodded like robots. This was the first time for the two of them to come to Zhou's house, so it was normal for them to be nervous. Chu Xia hurriedly sat over and changed seats with their second Aunt Liang Xiaohong. Chu Xia. Being poked by Chu Xia, Luo Xiaoqiang immediately relaxed. I won't come here again, I'm so nervous, they are all big people, I want to relax, but I can't relax at all. Yes, yeah, I really won't come here in the future. My calves are cramping when I see the commander. Zhao Qiliang looked at Lin Baohe, who was hooking shoulders with Zhou Jingping and drinking with Zhou Jingping, with admiration. Little uncle is a real person who doesn't show his face. Sitting here today, there are only elders and juniors. There are no commanders or soldiers. You all, relax a bit. Chu Xia glared at the two of them, and picked up some food for them. The Zhou family hasn't arrived yet. Aunt Hui and Mr. Su's family, Zhou Zhonkong and his wife, and even Zhou Nanping may come back. What should you do? Ah, Luo Xiaoqiang immediately panicked. Chu Xia, I regret it. Why did I agree to come back with you at that time? Or let's go now, okay? Xia, let's go to Wan Lao's side, okay? Zhao Qiliang also said, I don't know what to say here, I'm just nervous, it's too embarrassing for you. After you get married, I must be the person who will come and go here often. Sooner or later you have to get used to it. It's better to get used to it earlier, right? It was Grandma who found out that something was wrong with you just now and asked me to come and accompany you. After getting along for a long time, you will find that the Zhou family is very easy to get along with. As he spoke, he lowered his voice. Of course, there are some people who are difficult to get along with, but they basically don't come back very often. After she said this, Luo Xiaoqiang was not so nervous, so she whispered, you mean the one who married eunuch Xiao? You can't talk so badly. Chu Xia pinched her lightly. Eunuchs are eunuchs, why do you want to add a small word? Luo Xiaoqiang. Whose mouth hurt? She clearly said Xiao, but she didn't believe that she didn't catch it. She was still young, didn't she just kick JJ to death? The Joker was wrong. Zhao Qiliang could vaguely hear what the two of them were muttering, and at this moment, his face turned green. How could these two talk about this topic in public? No, he wants to teach them a lesson later. Girls, it shouldn't be like this, but then he realizes that his younger sister is married, he can't teach them a lesson about this kind of thing. As for his fiancée, he seems too embarrassed to have sex with her. Speaking of this, what can I do? He feels that he is all bad. When it was nearly 8 o'clock, Aunt Jo and Mr. Su came with their sons and daughters Su Yan and Su Shuxian, and explained that they should have come earlier, but it happened to be Mrs. Su's birthday, so they came to celebrate the old lady's birthday. However, it can be basically judged from the movement of Su Shuxian's lip curling quietly that this may be only one factor, and there should be other reasons. Zhou Zhonkong, Mei Xiaofeng, and Aunt Jo's family were on the front and rear. This time the two of them behaved quite well, greeted the elders politely, then sat aside, just eating without making a sound. Luo Xiaoxian quietly teased Shuxia, "Do they have any objections to you? I found out that there is something wrong with the way your younger brother and sister look at you. Moreover, she seems to be getting close to your sister-in-law on purpose. Could it be that she wants to win you over, sister-in-law, isolate you? You think too much." Eat. Chu Xia put a chopstick dish in her bowl. "Don't worry about what you shouldn't worry about." Turning to look at Zhao Qiliang, "Brother, have you written to uncle and aunt?" "I wrote it, that is to say the task, and I should have almost received it by now. I guess they can definitely ask my sister-in-law and uncle. As long as my sister-in-law and uncle are steadfast, they will definitely be steadfast. For my parents, I will try my best not to let them know the truth," Chu Xia said. "However, this time the matter cannot be kept hidden for too long. The borderline is ready to move, and some news, even in the age without TV and internet, spread very quickly. I just hope that when the time comes, everyone will be strong." It was time to set off the next day, and the young couple was newlywed. Dinner was over at 8:30. Luo Xiaoxian and Zhao Qiliang followed Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe to Wan Lao's house, while Zhou Hanliang and Yun Daodu were arranged to stay at Zhou's house. Zhou Mikang accompanied Chu Xia to send Wan Lao and his party back. After sitting for 10 minutes, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe drove them back. Lin Baohe drank very happily in the evening, and was still in high spirits until now, pushing his daughter and son-in-law to the door, and before they could say goodbye, he closed the door with a bang. Chu Xia, who almost touched his nose, looked at Zhou Mikang helplessly. "I seriously suspect that sooner or later, my father will be completely bribed by you. That means I'm a good person, and it's useless for you to be jealous." Zhou Mikang held her shoulders. "Let's go. Why are parents so eager to drive us home? You should understand." "Understand what?" Chu Xia stared at him with big eyes. "What dirty thoughts are you thinking in your head? It's so disgusting." "How do you know what I think? Could it be that you are the worm in my stomach? Otherwise, you think the same as I do. Can you be thicker-skinned?" Chu Xia stared at him speechlessly. "I'm too lazy to talk to you." Zhou Mikang laughed and teased her. "Why are you leaving in such a hurry?" "Oh, I understand. A moment is worth $1,000. My little daughter-in-law is in a hurry, haha." "Shameless." Chu Xia stomped on someone's big foot resentfully, and crushed it twice. "You just deserve a beating. We met for the first time, and you stepped on me like this." Zhou Mikang showed an expression of enjoyment on his face. "You want me to relieve the feeling of meeting for the first time? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind." Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 370. The second watch arrives. This person can be regarded as the best of this era, right? Chu Xia stared at Zhou Mikang speechlessly, simply raised his foot and stamped on his other foot, rolled his eyes and snorted, and trotted home. Of course it was the Zhou family. Zhou Mikang speeded up his pace amusedly, and just took 2 steps, but suddenly stopped, looked at the corner and frowned. "Come out. Don't let me catch you. Third brother, we're going home. We'll see you tomorrow morning, ha ha ha." Zhou Xiangping's voice came over, followed by the sound of dong 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 running away. Leader Zhang Qi came out from the shadow, although his expression was very serious, but the corners of his mouth that twitched obviously betrayed him. Zhou Mikang stroked his forehead. Didn't I say that you don't have to follow me when I'm at home? In other words, he was too complacent just now, that's why he teased his little wife like that. This matter is so troublesome. Fortunately, the little wife is not here, otherwise, how could he hold his face? However, it doesn't seem like a good idea to hide this matter. Zhang Qi said solemnly, in order to get used to it in advance, we have officially started working from today. Unexpectedly, we just... I didn't expect to hear our whispers. Zhou Mikang looked at him expressionlessly. Can you say that you didn't instigate Ma Chao to start working today on purpose? Head, I am wronged. This matter is really not my idea, but Ma Chao's idea. He said that he wants to officially start working one day earlier to adapt to the feeling. Real? Really? Zhang Qi nodded quickly. Xiao Si and brother-in-law are hiding here, don't you know? He hesitated for a moment. I know Zhang Qi really wanted to say he didn't know, but... as far as his ability is concerned, if he really dared to say that Xiao Si and Liao Hui were not found, the head of the group could round him up and throw him over the wall. I have written down this account. Zhou Mikang nodded. Turn around and go home. Zhang Qi suddenly became ill, and hurried forward to grab the leader's sleeve. Shy as a little daughter-in-law, team leader. Ma Chao, who was coming towards him, trembled all over. Why didn't he realize that Zhang Qi was so lucky? Cough, try to stay away from him in the future, especially when sleeping. Go away. Zhou Mikang kicked him aside, and when he got up and wanted to come back, he pointed, come here and try again. Zhang Qi was so frightened that he quickly took a step back. Leader, I was wrong. Captain. We didn't do it on purpose. I just got used to it today because I was worried about going on a business trip tomorrow. Ma Chao looked at Zhou Mikang seriously and explained, which actually confirmed Zhang Qi's statement just now. Okay, her safety is in your hands. That's all for today. If someone touches a hair of her before I come back, you too. Come and see you, the two said in unison. You have to have that ability. Zhou Mikang stared at the two faces. He snorted coldly, why don't you mention one to me now? Captain. The two immediately turned into bitter faces. Boss, how can you take the metaphor seriously? Zhou Mikang's expression straightened. It's safe to go out in early summer. I'll leave it to you, if... After a pause, Zhou Mikang said. If something happens to me, before she has no real protector. You guys, help me take care of her. Captain. Captain. Both of them looked serious. There was obvious disapproval in the expression. Secret about some things doesn't mean you won't find out. I mean just in case, not sure. In short, do you agree or not? The two looked at each other, put their legs side by side, touched their heels, and saluted a standard military salute, reporting to the commander, we promise to complete the task. Thank you. Zhou Mikang smiled at the two of them, I am very grateful that you can do this tonight. Go back and rest earlier. You don't need to get used to it. It is impossible to go out at night in early summer. You think she is a night owl? Hee hee. Zhang Qi sneered, leader, I plead guilty. What Ma Chao really wanted was to get used to it in advance. As for me, what I really wanted was, hee hee. Zhou Mikang looked at him with a half smile, I know where your shit is going when you kick your ass. Do you really think you can fool me? A moment is worth $1,000, Captain, we won't delay you, Zhang Qi said as he stepped back, and ran away before Zhou Mikang wanted to settle the score with him. Leader. Ma Chao foolishly touched his head with an uncomfortable expression on his face. He expressed his embarrassment for eavesdropping on the whispers of the head and his wife. He wanted to apologize, but he was also embarrassed and didn't apologize. I'm also embarrassed. In short, he is embarrassed, all kinds of embarrassment. Jo Mikang patted him on the shoulder. It's okay, Chusia is not petty, Jiangqi is waiting for you, hurry up, go home early and rest, I really have to go to work tomorrow, thank you for your hard work. No hard work. After saluting, Ma Chao turned around and walked away with big strides, but he was a little puzzled. The head said that the head's wife is not petty. Tell the leader's wife what you heard? Even a man like him who can't deal with the relationship between men and women feels that this matter should not be told to the head's wife. Thinking so, he wanted to go back and remind the head, but found that the door of Joe's house had been tightly closed, so he patted his head, and walked to the parking space depressed. Trained, Jiangqi, who was waiting by the car, asked curiously when he saw Ma Chao's frowning. No, Ma Chao told the other party his worries just now, and Jiangqi slapped him on the forehead. You really eat radish and don't worry about it, and you can meddle in the head's family affairs. I don't want to get involved. I just don't want the head's wife to feel uncomfortable seeing us in the future. After talking about it, isn't it just to make us unable to get along? The leader is pretending in front of you, do you think he will really say it? Fool, Jiangqi slapped him again, I don't even know what to say about you, can you be any more stupid? After pondering for a while, Ma Chao laughed, why did I forget about a man's face, hee hee. When Jo Mikang returned home, everyone had gone back to their rooms, and only the nanny Lu Ma was left in the living room. Knowing that everyone would not give him a chance to moan, he shook his head amusedly, and he went up to the second floor. Pushing open the door, hearing the sound of rushing water coming from the bathroom, Jo Mikang's heart suddenly became hot. When Chu Xia came back, the elders had already returned to their room, so she came up and changed clothes to take a shower. She had already opened the hood, but thinking about Jo Mikang's abomination, she filled the big bathtub with water and lay down comfortably. I plan to soak it slowly, so that someone will die in a hurry. In the end, while she was enjoying herself, the bathroom door was pushed open with a snap. She looked over reflexively, and saw the group leader's Heisa standing at the door wearing a big bathrobe, looking at her with a half-smile. You. Her tongue faltered immediately, and it took a long time to smooth it out. I locked the door just now, how could you break in? Rogue. I broke in through the door. I came in normally. Jo Mikang closed the door, screwed it shut, and walked to the bathtub in 2 or 3 steps, admiring the bubbles in the bathtub. Want to take a mandarin duck bath? Chu Xia squinted at him. You should think about it, the bathtub is so small, if you hurt yourself, you have to bear the responsibility. The head of the regiment, who was still waiting to see his little wife panicked, immediately twitched, saying, can't you be a little more reserved? Scared, Chu Xia pouted, go to the shower, I won't laugh at you. Jo Mikang squatted down, inserted his hands into the bubble, and walked over her body. Are you afraid? Do you think this method can drive me away? No, a certain person's voice was trembling, but he still pretended to be indifferent. Sis, you are from the 21st century, would you be afraid of you, a little antique? Really, Jo Mikang's hand stayed on the towering ball, and wiped off the foam on it little by little. Chu Xia was so frightened that he quickly shrank down. After thinking about it, he simply changed to lying down instead of lying down. Although it was uncomfortable, but at least it can stop the other party from doing bad things. So cooperative, Jo Mikang chuckled, hooked the waistband of the bathrobe with his big hand, and then he was completely naked, he didn't wear anything inside. Curiously looking back at Chu Xia, he saw a scene he didn't want to see, and immediately put his face into the foam. Yao Ma, hooligan. You want to choke yourself to death. Jo Mikang scooped her up, hugged her and lay down in the bathtub. In the end, Chu Xia was hugged by someone, took a shower, dried her and put her on the bed. As for how the other party dried her hair and when she fell asleep, she didn't know at all. Anyway, When I fell asleep, there was only one thought in my mind. Fortunately, he will be on a mission tomorrow, otherwise she would definitely be tossed to death on the bed by him. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Jo Mi-kang got up, Chu Xia turned over in a daze, and fell asleep again. After Jo Mi-kang tidied up, she still fell asleep like a baby. He tidied up his appearance, and finally couldn't find any reason to dawdle, so he squatted beside the bed, stared at her for a long time, kissed her lightly on the forehead for a while, and quickly got up and walked out. Jo Mi-kang. A soft call came from behind. His body froze all of a sudden, and inexplicably, his eye sockets became moist. "Come here and hug me again." Chu Xia sat up, her voice choked with sobs. "I don't like parting, so I want to pretend I don't know, but I can't." Jo Mi-kang quickly turned to the side of the bed, wrapped her in a quilt and hugged her tightly in his arms. "Chu Xia, I will come back, for you, I must come back, and I must come back before becoming a father. That's for sure, otherwise it wouldn't be normal. I'm in the safe period, how could you become a father for no reason?" Chu Xia's hand was imprisoned in the quilt and couldn't get it out, so he had to squirm. "Do you want to be a father? Come back sooner." He didn't ask much, just nodded happily. "Okay. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 371. The two chapters are merged together. It feels better this way, and I wish all the warm fans happiness. Not venomous tongue, not stubborn mouth, on the contrary, it was Chu Xia's turn to get used to it. She stared blankly at Jo Mi-kang, and didn't reply him a word for a long time. "Hey." With a soft sigh, Jo Mi-kang returned to her side and hugged her again. "What's the matter? Are you reluctant to part with me? I'm starting to be narcissistic again." Chu Xia curled her lips, and then her voice softened. "It's not considered narcissism. I've been with you for so long, and I'm really used to having you by my side." "Miss you, really? Well, I should think about it." Jo Mi-kang took it for granted, in this world, the person closest to you is actually me. "Who do you think I miss?" "Chu Xia. Can you be more narcissistic? Don't look at me with such disdainful eyes." Jo Mi-kang patted her on the head amusedly. "From the emotional point of view, maybe you and your parents should be closer, but from the point of view of secret sharing, it should be me and you who are closer. Yes, if they knew that she was no longer the original Lin Chuxia, would parents still treat her like this? They will be sad, disappointed, even hate her? Even if she told them that their daughter lived very harmoniously and happily with her parents in her time and space, it would be difficult for them to accept her and forgive her in a short time, right?" She hugged him tightly without saying a word. Feeling the sudden sadness in her heart, he pondered for a while. Then he understood her thoughts, and patted her on the back. "If your parents know that Chu Xia is not the original you, it will be difficult to accept. I know. If you know it, don't worry about it anymore. Although honesty is a virtue. But in this matter, you can never be honest with your parents, otherwise, it will be a lifetime of pain for them. I know. By the way, let me tell you something. When we came back from Wan's hometown last night, Xiaoxi, Liao Hui and Zhang Kamakeo overheard our conversation." Chu Xia nodded. "Yes, I know." "You know, this time it was Jo Mi-kang's turn to be surprised." "How do you know? They came out after you got home. How do you know?" "As I ran back. The fourth sister hid in the corner, and I happened to see it. As for Ma Chao and Zhang Qi, I didn't notice it." "You?" Jo Mi-kang looked her up and down. "No. Thoughts? What should I think? Shame on people." Chu Xia curled her lips. "Is it worth it? We are a legal couple. It's normal to talk about intimacy. Besides, it means that we have a good relationship, and that's why. They don't feel bad for me in the future. Yes, yes, yes. Joe Mikang secretly breathed a sigh of relief, worried that his little wife's skin was tender, and originally he didn't intend to tell her about it. But when I thought about it just now, it seemed unfair to my little wife. Simply tell her, I'm sorry, it's only a while. At least he doesn't have to be kept in the dark like a little fool, but he didn't expect that his little wife would think so, so he can feel relieved. Do you think I'm particularly thick-skinned? Chu Xia asked after looking at him a few times. No. That's what you think. Forget it. If you are thick-skinned, you can be thick-skinned. I don't care. You go to eat first. I'll wash up and go down immediately, Chu Xia said as he nodded his chin towards the door. Hurry up, I need to change clothes. Really? Joe Mikang shook his head with a smile. Just now I said that I have a thick skin, we are both husband and wife, so why should I be so particular about it? Chu Xia glared at him. Of course, husband and wife should also be careful, don't be wordy, get out. Go to sleep, don't send me off. Joe Mikang let go of her arm, and patted her on the head like a puppy. You don't like parting, just give me a kiss and treat me like I'm just going to work. I'm already up, I'll see you off. Chu Xia put his arms around his neck, unceremoniously smacked his lips, rolled over and got off the bed with a proud smile. I didn't brush my teeth. Joe Mikang frowned and put the cotton nightgown on her. It's really not worrying, what should I do if I catch a cold? You are so wordy, there is heating in the room, what about it? Chu Xia threw the cotton nightgown on the bed in disgust, and trotted into the bathroom. How do I wash up if I wear it so thick? The door closed with a bang. It's a pity that she ignored the stubbornness of the leader Xiangzi, and also how the leader's Haizi entered the bathroom last night. As soon as he squatted on the toilet, he heard the bathroom door click. Before she could react, the leader's Haizi was already standing at the door with a dark face in his cotton nightgown. Get out, Chu Xia blushed. Even if it was from the future, she would not be able to calmly accept such a man's behavior. There is no privacy between husband and wife, such as what she is doing now. What's more, their marriage is not about falling in love first and then getting married. Joe Mikang acted impulsively because he was in a hurry. As soon as he entered the door, he regretted it, put his nightgown on the hanger with his head drooped, and went out without a word. Chu Xia, who was originally full of anger, couldn't get angry when he saw him like this. Thinking that he was about to leave soon, and his fate was uncertain, he sighed and shouted to the outside, forgive you once, and there will be another time. I divorce you. Okay. Okay, Joe Mikang, who was terribly upset, immediately breathed a sigh of relief, responded repeatedly, and turned back to the door of the bathroom. This time, he was smarter and asked before he arrived, can I go in? I'm teething, Chu Xia said vaguely. Then you wash up, I'll go downstairs first. It wasn't until he left the door that Joe Mikang breathed a sigh of relief, but then he became even more annoyed. He was so much older than her, how could he always act like a rookie in front of her? Xiaomi. When he went downstairs, he saw his second sister Zhou Jiping standing there with red and swollen eyes staring at him. When we were coming over yesterday, my old man passed away. No wonder, Joe Mikang hurriedly asked, is brother-in-law okay? He's okay. I'll come to see you off, and I'll go back right away, Zhou Jiping sniffed. Suddenly she stepped forward and hugged her younger brother. Xiaomi, in the Liao family, the old man is the best for me, woo woo woo. Sister. Joe Mikang patted her on the back, you should also follow my younger sister's lead. Move in and be with your brother-in-law. We are always separated, which affects our relationship too much. And Zhou Jiping responded. He let go of his hands and wiped away the tears on his face, with a look of embarrassment. Joe Mikang handed her the handkerchief, when you get along with brother-in-law in the future, don't be too strong. Men don't like women with too strong personalities. What if I'm not strong? If I soften up, his parents won't bully me to death. Jo Jipping shook her head and changed the subject. Xiaomi, I just wanted to talk to you when I came here. You have other children, but you are the only one in Chuxia. For her, you have to make yourself safe. Sister, I know. Chuxia, who happened to be downstairs, heard Jo Jipping's words. The eye sockets were a little hot, and he took a few steps down. Second sister, are you here so early? Jo Jipping smiled far-fetchedly. Well, you also woke up so early. Yeah, seeing her swollen eyes like peaches. In early summer, he looked at Jo Mikang inquiringly. My sister's father-in-law has passed away, and the old man is very close to my sister. Jo Mikang quickly explained to his little wife that after what happened just now, he wished he could do more for her, do more things for his wife. Sister, I'm sorry. Chuxia stepped forward to hug Jo Jipping, also persuade my brother-in-law more. While several people were talking, MRS Jo, Jo Jingping, Lin Yangkaiu and Jo Hanliang also got up. Chuxia glanced at the time. I'll call Daodu. Jo Hanliang hurriedly said, don't call her, let her sleep, we agreed yesterday, she won't get up to see me off. Chuxia smiled wryly. It turned out that everyone was afraid of facing such a separation, or it could be said that their hearts were not strong enough. After the family had breakfast in a depressing atmosphere and gave some instructions, Jo Mikang and Jo Hanliang went out. At the door, they met Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, Zhao Qiliang, and Luo Xiaoxian who had come over. Until the car drove away, a group of people still stood there unwilling to enter the house, which made Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, who were already a little suspicious, even more suspicious. Angry at their questioning, Chuxia winked at Luo Xiaoxian, then ran to Yun Daodu's room to wake her up. The two of them pushed open the door and saw Yun Daodu sitting on the bed blankly, crying silently. What's wrong with you? Chuxia looked at her helplessly. Get up, or we won't wait for you. It's okay, I'm just venting myself. Yun Daodu squeezed out an ugly smile. Do you want to send them off again? Luo Xiaoxian frowned. Hey, what theory are you talking about? I'm hiding now, and I'll deliver it later. I'm really convinced of you. I don't see me here because I'm afraid of embarrassing myself, but now that I think about it, I'm not reconciled to being separated like this. No, I must go see him off. Yun Daodu jumped out of bed and rushed into the bathroom while talking. This person. Luo Xiaoxian shook her head speechlessly. I was really convinced, I thought she could afford it, but it turned out to be, I didn't even think about it. Hey. Chuxia poked her with his shoulder. What did my brother say to you last night? Did you? She made a kissing gesture. Have you? You are indeed married. Luo Xiaoxian stared at her speechlessly. Do you think it's possible for us? What's the matter if the elders see it? Even for your face, we can't do such a thing. Chuxia, what's going on in your mind? Oh, I understand, you and the team leader last night, haha. We are husband and wife, everything is normal. Chuxia rolled his eyes. Think I will feel ashamed like this? Cut. Luo Xiaoxian, who didn't get any advantage, made a bitter face. Chuxia, you can't do this, leader, you give me back the pure and lovely Chuxia who is like a piece of white paper. Chuxia quickly shut her mouth. Stop howling, what's the matter if people outside hear it? Luo Xiaoxian nodded in fright, signaling Chuxia to let go of her hand. I have an appointment with your brother, we will get married when he comes back. Chuxia smiled and nodded. Okay. I'll give you a big red envelope then. Of course, you married so well. Of course you have to give me a big red envelope, and my future backer will be you. You want to dump me? It's impossible. How do you know what I'm thinking? Chuxia deliberately widened his eyes. I really thought about dumping you, little tired. Look, Let's see, Luo Xiaoxian pretended to be afraid and patted her chest. Fortunately, I have the foresight to say the ugly things first, so you won't be embarrassed to do that, otherwise, I will have nowhere to regret it when the time comes. Did my parents ask you anything last night? Chu Xia asked in a low voice. I asked. I asked your brother, what is the mission and is there any danger? Didn't we already have a good confession? Your brother said that it was just a long-distance training, just like the 25,000-mile-long march back then. The difference is that there are no enemies. Hunt down, so. Let them rest assured that there is nothing else but to be tired. Then they didn't ask anything else, Chu Xia continued to ask. Of course there is, Luo Xiaoxian said with a funny face. They asked your brother. Does that mean you have to climb the snow-capped mountains and cross the grasslands? Will you fall into the swamp and can't get out, etc. Your brother said, the route he doesn't know the matter now. However, he will definitely not go to such a dangerous place. This is training, not a war. 1 or 2 battle losses are allowed, but too many losses are absolutely not allowed. Then, Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan were obviously relieved, but I think they still don't fully believe it. Chu Xia sighed, that's for sure. After all, everyone was too serious. Moreover, everyone's expressions this morning will definitely make them worry. Forget it, let's keep it secret for as long as possible. Anyway, sooner or later everyone will know. What are you talking about while I'm not here? Jun Daodu came out wiping her hair, and looked at the two of them. Don't speak ill of me, or I'll stab you villains. It's just talking bad about you. Luo Xiaoxian glared at her. Hurry up, you don't want to be late for work on the first day, do you? No, Yun Daodu looked at the two in a daze. You really don't plan to send them off again? This farewell may last for a year or two. Since you know that this separation may last for a year or two, why did you pretend to be dead here? Chu Xia gave her a look. Hurry up, we're going downstairs first. Downstairs, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were chatting with Mrs. Zhou, talking about some interesting things in the countryside. It could be seen that everyone was working hard to adjust the atmosphere, including Mrs. Zhou. They were laughing, showing that but it's a sickly feeling. This feeling will probably last for a while. Chu Xia secretly sighed, and said goodbye to the elders. Grandpa, Grandma, parents, we are going to work. Come back tonight? Zhao Yulan asked anxiously. Chu Xia nodded. Come back, I have greeted Mr. Song, and I will go to the hospital to live in a dormitory in a month. For the time being, I will come back to accompany you. Zhao Yulan nodded reassuringly. Okay, let's go quickly, don't delay. The three of Zhou Mikang were silent all the way. None of them were single, and they all had a lot of concerns, but men don't like to talk like women, so they all keep their worries in their hearts, brewing to digest. After arriving at the base, it was already 7 o'clock in the morning. Gather your team. Looking at the serious faces in front of him, with excitement and apprehension, the depression in Zhou Mikang's heart was swept away, replaced by enthusiasm. A good man should die in battle. Of course he doesn't want to die in battle, but he wants to make contributions on the battlefield, make his family proud of him, and make his little wife proud of him. Su Zhenghong also came here early, and the leader who was even higher had spoken a few days ago to encourage everyone. Now, their departure will be quiet. Are you all ready? Yes. Let's go. Yes. The team meandered away, and the remaining soldiers spontaneously stood by the side of the road, watching everyone leave with serious faces. Su Zhenghong patted Zhou Mikang on the shoulder. Commander Zhou, we are waiting for you. Yes, Master, Zhou Mikang saluted, turned around and strode away with the team. When he reached the door, his footsteps were slightly stagnant. His little wife was standing in front of the procession to see him off. Zhou Hanliang, who was walking behind him, had the same complex expression. After walking a long way, it came to his mind. Or those reluctant eyes? You are the instructor taking advantage of everyone's inattention, Jo Mikang whispered in his ear. Quicken your pace and go forward. The spirit lifted. Jo Hanliang also caught up. In fact, it is very honorable to be able to participate in this mission, and the enthusiasm of the soldiers is also extremely full, and of course they must set an example. This time, not only their regiment, but also the sharp regiments of several other divisions will gather together. A team has a soul first. Only then can you be energetic. As for Jo Mikang and him, they are the soul of this regiment, and the spirit of all the soldiers depends on them. Luo Hunky, who failed to participate in this mission, returned to the dormitory with a lonely face after the team left. He was still recuperating. He is straight-hearted and honest, and he also knows that if he wants to be successful in the army, he can only rely on hard work. He dare not even think about such a thing as entering the military academy. But now, when the road was in front of him, he couldn't grasp this kind of loneliness from the bottom of his heart. Who can understand? There were 2 knocks on the dormitory door, and Zhang Erniu's voice came, "Can I go in?" The other comrades in arms had already gone to gather for training after the team started. The dormitory is his own, as his nursing nurse. It's normal for Zhang Erniu to come here at this time. "Come in," Luo Hunky replied, and quickly sat up from the bed. Unhappy, Zhang Erniu rubbed medicine on his ankle. Side asked. Heal your injury, and you will have a chance in the future. You do not understand. Okay, I don't understand. Zhang Erniu raised her head and smiled at him. Although I don't understand, I know that as long as you have confidence, you will realize your ideal one day. Ideal? Luo Hunky was taken aback for a moment, then looked at Zhang Erniu. What is your ideal? Zhang Erniu smiled embarrassingly. I go to school less and learn more than others, so my biggest ideal is to keep up with everyone's progress, to be a qualified nurse, and not to be sent home. I have no ideals. Luo Hunky shook his head. I was enlisted in the army by my father, and I am willing to come because of Zhong Hongying. Later, after she broke up with me, I felt that the sky was falling, and then I used my strength to vent, and in the end, I hurt myself. After being hurt, I met you, and then I really wanted to understand what kind of woman can live a good life with me, so I want to behave well, marry you home, and prevent you from being laughed at. But, I have no ideals, Erniu, am I sad? When you become a qualified nurse, will you not want me anymore? The man who was 1.9 meters tall had such a helpless look in his eyes. Zhang Erniu's heart softened immediately, and she shook her head again and again. No, no matter when, as long as you want me, I will follow you, I can't be an officer, don't you despise me? When I fell in love with you, you were not an officer. Zhang Erniu laughed at him. Even if you are demobilized, I won't dislike you. At worst, I won't be a nurse anymore. I will be demobilized with you and go to the village as a nurse, a barefoot doctor. Erniu, Luo Hunky stared straight at her, not knowing what to say. Okay, don't talk about it, I'm here to change your medicine. If you let others know that I'm here to talk to you, you can send me home now, Zhang Erniu said while lifting the medicine. The small pill box goes out. Erniu, thank you. Zhang Erniu left for a long time before Luo Hunky murmured that no matter how stupid he was, he would understand at this time that Zhang Erniu's coming to change his medicine was just a cover, and she probably came here to comfort him because she was worried about his wild thoughts. He felt so warm in his heart for an instant. It was the first time that someone really cared about his mood when he grew up so big. His parents were doing it for his own good, and his sister cared about him too, but they never cared about him in such detail. Mood, as for Zhong Hongying, it is even more impossible. It turns out that the feeling of being valued by others is so good. However, he couldn't really stop working hard just because she was willing to demobilize with him. Gritting his teeth, he picked up the textbook that his comrades were reviewing, and looked at it seriously. When Chu Xia returned home in the evening, she was naturally interrogated by Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. After much deliberation, Chu Xia decided to tell the truth. The result was not what she was worried about. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, who learned the truth, neither sighed nor blamed her, just hugged her tightly in their arms without saying anything. This made her worried, so she looked at the two anxiously. "Father, mother, if you want to scold me, just scold me, okay?" "Xia, you've grown up," Zhao Yulan said. Yes, Xia has grown up, and knows to think about her parents. Lin Baohe also looked at his daughter with admiration, and echoed his wife's words. "Father, mother." In an instant, Chu Xia burst into tears. It turned out that she had never understood them, but she thought she knew them. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 372. As soon as it arrives. Chu Xia did the right thing. Zhao Yulan hugged her daughter in her arms. "Father and mother have a sensible daughter like you, this life is worth it. You don't know, your father and I used to worry most about that you only had yourself in your heart, but now it seems that we are worrying blindly. It's not that you're just worrying about it, it's that the core has been changed." As I thought to myself, of course I didn't dare to say that. Chu Xia made a sincere expression. "Father, mother, I didn't know anything before, so I made you worry about it." Zhao Yulan said, "It is better to worry about it when you are young and worry about it when you grow up than to worry about it when you are young." Mother thinks about Zhong Hongying again. Chu Xia laughed. Did father and mother envy Aunt Zhong for having such a capable daughter? No, the couple said in unison. Hey! Chu Xia laughed happily. "Xia, let's go back quickly." Seeing that it was past 8 o'clock, Zhao Yulan drove Chu Xia back. "Your old lady is getting old and needs to go to bed earlier, we can't be too unconscious." "Father, mother, are you really alright?" Chu Xia looked at the couple worriedly. "You can't just pretend it's alright in front of me and cry in your arms when I leave." Mr. Wan, who came out of the study, answered with a smile, You underestimate your parents too much, their awareness is high. It's still Uncle Wan who understands us." Lin Baohe waved at his daughter. "Your mother and I have to stay for a few days before leaving. We have plenty of time. Today, Xiaomi just left, and your mother-in-law and the others must feel very uncomfortable. Especially at this time, the more you have to treat it as your home. After you get married, you have to be more careful about what your in-laws think. Your mother and I can do whatever we want." Jingzhe, who had been waiting silently to make the background board, smiled. "It is a great blessing for the Zhou family to be in-laws with Uncle Lin and Aunt Zhao. Chu Xia, let's go, I will take you back." Parents' attitude was so firm, Chu Xia had no choice but to follow Jingzhe and leave obediently. When the two of them left the door, Zhao Yulan frowned tightly. "What's wrong?" Lin Baohe asked. "Although Xiaoji and our family Xia are considered brothers and sisters. But if we pick up and drop off like this every day, outsiders will definitely gossip. Even if the Zhou family doesn't mind, it's not appropriate." Zhao Yulan sighed. "I just wanted to talk about this. Come on, the words are on the tip of my tongue and I'm embarrassed. You said that Xiaoji has helped us so much, it would be too hurtful if I said something like that again. Don't you agree? I've been thinking about it too, I think. After we leave, Xia won't be able to come back every day, so there's no need for Xiaozhe to pick him up every day. Come back twice a week to take a ride with Xiaozhe, and others can't say anything nonsense." When the two families recognized their relatives, everyone in the yard knew that the people who lived here were all respectable. Shouldn't the tongue be that long? Hearing Lin Baohe's uncertainty when comforting Zhao Yulan, Wan Lao laughed. Xiaozhe went to Zhou's family in an open and above-board manner. Zhou's family and Jing's family are also in the same camp, so don't worry. Can't spoil this pot of porridge. What Uncle Wan said is true. Zhao Yulan's face obviously relaxed. It's because we think too much, and it's impossible for the child to get married without seeing anyone. Besides, Xia must not be allowed to ride a bicycle to and from work, right? Then how can we rest assured? If Jojiadon sends a driver to take her to and from work, there will probably be more gossip, so this is the best way at the moment. It's not that you have to ride a bicycle if you don't have Xiaozhe's car, we have a shuttle bus to 401, but, as you said, safety in early summer comes first. It's okay when she's on the morning shift, but if she's on the night shift, we don't worry if you ask her to take the shuttle bus by herself, that child is really eye-catching. Mr. Wan laughed as he said, sometimes I just wondering, you said how did you two give birth to such a handsome little girl? If you hadn't come out and met such a family, how much do you think this child will make you worry? Uncle Wan, you can say that I have lost my heart. Lin Baohe, who was being talked about, immediately felt that the distance between him and Wan Lao was one step closer, and he simply moved to his side, took his hand, and said, this was what Yulan and I were most worried about before, so we made a fuss about getting her engaged in advance. In the end, the uproar didn't work out, but fortunately, it didn't work out. If it did, the child's life would be ruined. What you said at that time was really right. Xia is a lucky person. You said otherwise, how could our leader Xiao Zhou have taken a fancy to her at a glance, right? Yes, yes, yes. Wan Lao nodded again and again. You are really a fan of girls. Lin Baohe's smile froze for a moment, and the old man laughed and patted him on the shoulder. I'm teasing you, that's good. If it weren't for your good education, how could this child have such a good personality? It's okay, you should go to bed earlier. I'm old, I really can't stand it, I'll go to bed first. Uncle Wan, we'll sleep in a while, good night. The couple hurriedly said goodbye. Living in the city these days, the two of them were already used to greetings like morning and night. When the wall clock on the wall beeped, and Zhao Yulan turned her head to see that it was exactly 8:30, and looked at her husband suspiciously. Uncle Wan usually goes to bed at 9 o'clock, why is he sleepy so early today? Could it be that you are not feeling well? I think Uncle Wan's complexion was not very good just now. After hesitating, Lin Baohe got up. Let's go over and have a look, don't let the old man feel uncomfortable next to him. Mrs. Yin has asked for leave, and there are only the couple and Mr. Wan tonight. Arriving at the door, just as Lin Baohe was about to knock on the door, he heard Mr. Wan's voice coming from inside. He retracted his hand reflexively. He wanted to hear what the old man said, but he felt it was inappropriate. If he didn't listen, he was afraid. What's the matter with the old man? What's the matter? Zhao Yulan saw that his expression was not right, so she also came over, and she was also taken aback when she heard the voice coming from inside, but she didn't have as many scruples as Lin Baohe, so she put her ear to the door and listened. My wife, do you see how well Baohe and Yulan have taught Shuxia? Looking at them, I thought, we really failed, why did we teach our daughter like that? With them here, the house is still a little popular, and I can still run a little bit. My wife, why did you leave so early? If you were with me, I wouldn't be so lonely. Tears flowed down Zhao Yulan's cheeks. She picked up Lin Baohe and left without saying a word. After closing the bedroom door, the two of them sat there quietly in a daze. Baohe, we are more blessed than Uncle Wan, Zhao Yulan said. Yeah, Lin Baohe nodded. Why don't we go back the day after tomorrow? We'll come back soon after we've dealt with it. Everyone will feel at ease. Okay. With a few words, the couple set the date to go home. When I talked to Chu Xia early the next morning, Chu Xia was immediately stunned. Father, Mother, didn't you say that you will go back in 5 more days? How can you just leave? Is it necessary to be in such a hurry? What is wrong with me, or are you uncomfortable living in Grandpa Wan's house? Where are you thinking, child? Zhao Yulan glared at her daughter and said, we are doing this to come back sooner, we can't lose it at all, so the house in our hometown must be secured, otherwise, I will be here with your father, it's not safe to live in. Then there's no need to be in such a hurry, right? Come back as soon as you finish solving it, otherwise you and Uncle Juan will always be thinking about our going back, and also, the things you bought are not good if they are stored for a long time. Your father and I have figured it out. In the future, we will not push back and forth for the things you honor. Anyway, we will use our own strength to repay the Joe family in the future. Besides, what your old lady said is right. Once you become in-laws, you are a family. You can't let you worry about us all the time. Only when we live well can you live your little life with peace of mind. It should have been like this a long time ago. Chu Xia laughed happily, then I will tell Brother Jing later that the things are piled up in his small warehouse. I will help him pack them in advance when I come back tonight. The next morning, take you home. Otherwise, let me see if I can ask for leave. If I can, I will go back with you. Anyway, Big Brother Jing is driving the car. There are not many people, but there are not many people. I will be with him when I come back. Not alone, right? You child. Zhao Yulan slapped her daughter on the forehead. You're so stupid, what's the matter with you following back? If people say that you and Xiao Zhe are a couple, how can we explain it? Said that it was not my son-in-law, but a friend of my son-in-law, and then, you don't know how bad-mouthed our people are, and you can be passed on as a disobedient woman later. It's so complicated. Chu Xia covered her head with a troubled expression on her face. Everyone's thoughts are so complicated, why do you have to think so much? If others don't want to, Zhong Hongying's mother also has to think about it. With her temperament, everyone in the world knows it without telling you. She can't eat, her daughter is driven back, and you don't help. You can look forward to it. How are you? Xia, you will be an adult in the future, think about it when you do things. If you want to always be like this, you will suffer a lot. Your father and I can't always be by your side, can we? You said that your child is quite smart in other aspects, but why is he so stupid when it comes to this aspect? Sigh, I really make you worry to death. How can I feel relieved? Being nagged by the old lady endlessly, Chu Xia had a big head, so she looked to Lin Baohe for help. Okay Yulan, Uncle Juan will be back in a while. Your breakfast. Breakfast is ready. Zhao Yulan glared at her husband. Just follow her around, and when she suffers, I'll see where you go to regret it. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 373. The second watch arrives. Mother, you seem to be getting stronger and stronger now. Chu Xia shrank to Lin Baohe's side, pretending to hold her heart together. When you get angry, my heart will be thumping with fright, and if this continues, my heart will be so fast sick. You, Zhao Yulan smiled helplessly, isn't it for your own good that my mother wants to be like your father? Everything goes with you, and you are right about everything, so it's not a mess. We Xia is right in everything. Lin Baohe snorted unconvinced. Others think too much, it's because they have bad intentions, and it's not our Chu Xia's fault. You two just make trouble, forget it, I won't talk about you, sooner or later you will know who is a good person. Zhao Yulan entered the kitchen while muttering, and Chu Xia followed in with a good laugh. Mom, didn't you say the meal is ready? I'll put the porridge out and let it cool. Your Grandpa Juan will be back in 5 minutes. Xia, after your father and I go back, you often come to accompany Grandpa Juan, he told his daughter to himself, and warned, it's not easy for an old man. It's rare to find love with you and help us so much. We need to know. Mother, I know. Chu Xia also sighed. However, no matter how nice I am to him, I'm not as good as his own daughter and granddaughter. Although he says he doesn't care, how can he not care in his heart? But we can't help with this matter now. I guess if I talk to Aunt Juan about something, she can slap me 8 feet away, or in her eyes. Maybe I'm taking advantage of Grandpa Juan's power to do my best. If she dares to slap you, your father can slap her to the sky. Zhao Yulan sighed after speaking. People say how to raise and grow children, I think it's not entirely true. You Grandpa Juan is such a good person. I have also seen the photo of your Grandma Juan. At first glance, she is a kind-hearted person. How can a child raised by such two people be so ruthless? Even if they didn't take care of their children at the time, everyone in that era didn't take care of their children, and they didn't blame their parents. Why was she so wronged? Giving birth to such a child is really a lifelong sin for the parents. She doesn't have feelings for her parents, but it doesn't mean that her parents don't have feelings for her. Your Grandpa Juan looks happy on the surface, but in his heart, he may be suffering a lot. Anyway, if I have a chance in the future, I must talk to her. There is no such thing as a child of a man. If she persists, she will regret it one day. Chu Xia couldn't help but jokingly said, Mother, it seems that what you are saying now is justified, it will really be at that time. Can you still speak when you see her? I can't tell. And your father? Early summer. He Zhao Yulan smiled shyly, your father is more capable than me, I can tell now. Your father used to be silent because he had a knot in his heart, but now the knot in his heart has been untied, and this temperament is also in harmony with him. It's not the same before. Certainly. The premise is that it is related to our family Xia. If it has nothing to do with Xia, your father is still an honest and boring bastard. As long as he gets along with Xia, your father will be bloody. Did you talk like that, Lin Bao? He, who was struggling to listen to his wife and daughter outside, protested, why did I get bloody? I was protecting my daughter. You are a good father, I know. Zhao Yulan glanced at the time, and pushed Chu Xia to go out, go to work quickly, don't be silly, go find Xiaoji by yourself, don't always let others wait for you. Father, mother, I'll go then, Chu Xia said as he bent down to grab a red apple from the fruit plate on the table and gnawed it out. Zhao Yulan shook her head when she saw it. She had noticed it before. Zhou Jiping and Zhou Xiangping never gnawed apples like this. They always cut into small pieces and ate them with a toothpick. Looking back, if she wanted to talk about her daughter, she couldn't lose face to the Lin family, not the Zhou family. If the two sisters heard it, they would definitely say, report to Aunt Lin, we also ate apples in private, and the scene you saw was because someone cut it up, and if you don't eat it for nothing. Opening the door in early summer, she saw old man Wan walking over with steam on his head. She was so shocked that she gnawed half of the apple and was stunned there. What's wrong? Does he think he is still a young man? Xia is going to work. Mr. Wan touched her head amusedly, don't you know Grandpa? Chu Xia hurriedly pulled his teeth out of the apple, and stared at Mr. Wan seriously, Grandpa, strenuous exercise in the morning is very dangerous. For me, you should also take care of yourself, okay? Okay, Mr. Wan quickly replied and ran into the house. The old man looked guilty, Chu Xia looked funny, turned his head, just happened to be Jingzhe driving over, she quickly climbed into the car, and told him the situation of the old man just now, hoping that he, an authoritative doctor, would take time to give him a good look. Mr. Wan is in class, so don't let him be brave anymore. After Jingzhe responded, he couldn't help laughing again, do you know how he made himself like this? Brother knows, Chu Xia stared at him suspiciously, and couldn't help but blame, you didn't stop him when you saw it. I'm not at the scene, how can I stop you? Jingzhe shook his head with a smile, I am old and refuse to accept my old age, and my old man also ran back sweating, and asked me to give him a lesson, saying that he walked around in the morning when I was young, I met Grandpa Li and Grandpa Li, and the old men refused to accept what they said, so they competed on who could run 5 laps around the playground the fastest, and in the end, Grandpa Li fainted. The old man is like a child. Chusia didn't know who Grandpa Lee was, so she didn't ask any more, but talked about her parents going back to their hometown tomorrow, and asked Jingzhe if he had time to send them back. Dalian village. Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhang looked at the house they had lived in for a short time, and their eyes were full of reluctance. They were used to life in the countryside, and only living in such a house could they truly feel at ease. At that time, the son was helping them to move them here, but after living here, they lived with feelings. Thinking about going back, they would live in the pigeon cage that could not reach the sky or the ground, and the old couple felt in their hearts congested. Deputy County Magistrate Zhang, who came to help pack things, couldn't bear to see the old couple's appearance, but he couldn't bear it anymore. They couldn't occupy the house no matter what. At that time, I promised to help, but it would be embarrassing to stay here now. Dongfang, didn't they say they can live together, or you can discuss it with them? Let's pay the rent, see if it's okay. Mr. Zhang suddenly looked at his son to discuss. Before Zhang Dongfang could speak, his wife Li Ziyuling hurriedly said, "Father, Mother, if Dongfang really negotiated like that, the nature of this matter would change, and people might think that we regretted it and didn't want to return the house. You said that it was something to be grateful for at first, but if it turned out like that in the end, wouldn't the gain outweigh the loss? If your second elder wants to live in the countryside, we can buy a house for your second elder in a village close to the county, or rebuild it, okay? We just want to be here. Your mother and Laolin have a relationship. How can we get along in another place?" Mr. Zhang is a bit stubborn, so he just threw away his burden and sat cross-legged on the kong. "If you don't discuss it, I will discuss it. If you take the things away, I will discuss with them. If we are allowed to live, your mother and I will live here. If you don't let us live, we will discuss moving to that hut. That's okay." Father Zhang Dongfang couldn't laugh or cry. "Why are you so petty? Let me tell you this, the in-laws of the owner of this house are older than the secretary of our provincial party committee. Tell me, is it appropriate to stay here again? The owner's in-laws are the secretary of the provincial party committee, and it's not that the owner is the secretary of the provincial party committee. You don't have me and your mother in your heart at all. When you asked us for help, you didn't ask for our opinions, so you just pulled me over. It's good now, we're used to living here, and we're showing affection, but you don't care about our thoughts, and you pull them back. What do you think of me and your mother? We gave birth to you, raised you up, and trained you to become a talent, just to make you play tricks on us like this? I think you even let your conscience be eaten by dogs when you are an official." After being scolded by the old man for a while, Zhang Dongfang was a little confused. "Father, you and mother didn't promise to be good at first, so you want to move away. Why did you change your mind in a blink of an eye?" "It's not that I've changed my mind, it's just that I don't like it. These two couples are also heartless. They are the relatives of the secretary of the provincial party committee, so they don't want to kiss their parents. The old Lin couple didn't even eat their granddaughter's wedding candy. Did you say that there is such a thing for the elderly? How can such a person be of help? If we had known that the house would be occupied by such a person, we would not have agreed. Dongfang, if you are still a little bloody, don't force me to move with your mother. Your mother and I are not unreasonable, we only live in one room. When they come back, I want to ask them personally, why did they treat their own parents like that? If they can come up with a suitable reason, your mother and I will quickly vacate a house for them. If they really forget their parents because of something good, I will not move just to vent my anger on Laolin too. Father, do you know what's going on, and you're just messing around here? People say that it's hard for an upright official to break up housework. You just listen to the old man talking about it, and you believe it? Besides, do you believe your son, or believe in Laolin too? Anyway, the version I heard is not what my father said. The old Lin couple originally wanted to sell their granddaughter to their younger son in exchange for a future. Let them go to the wedding. Father, mother, think about it in your shoes. Even if you are a junior in this matter, there is something wrong, but the real fault is the elder or the junior. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 374. As soon as it arrives. Impossible, Mrs. Zhang looked in disbelief. Brother Lin and sister Lin mentioned the granddaughter named Chu Xia. They were very friendly. How could they pretend to be like that? Dongfang, we can't just talk nonsense just for the sake of being an official, regardless of whether it's black or white. Mother knows that this matter is difficult for you, but people always have a conscience, right? Mr. Zhang agreed. Yeah, I don't think Brother Lin and Mrs. Lin seem unreasonable. After we moved here, other people also come and go, but no one is like them. They come to chat with each other every day. Your mother and they let the two little grandsons come over to help them with the work they can't do. You are no match for their grandson-in-law, and they don't need to curry favor with us two old bastards, do they? Seeing that his father couldn't get off the Kong, Zhang Dongfang had no choice but to continue to persuade. Father, mother, this matter can't just look at the surface. They have nothing to curry favor with, but you don't think they are so affectionate with you? Question. They have lived in this village all their lives. If their temperament is as you said, they must have a few good old brothers and sisters, right? How could it be possible to only communicate with you? The old man Zhang looked displeased. People just saw that our old couple didn't even have any friends here. They took pity on us, so they came to accompany us. How come you said that they have no old brothers here? Old sister? Yes, yes. Mrs. Zhang patted Kong along the road anxiously. A few days ago, they brought an old couple over to chat with us. I think they are very amiable. Old man Zhang served in the Red Army when he was young. Later, when I was crossing the snow-capped mountains, I injured my leg, so I was discharged from the army and returned home to work as a farmer. Mrs. Zhang only obeys her husband's orders all her life. What does Mrs. Zhang say? She must agree. In other words, in the eyes of Mrs. Zhang, if Zhang is right, he is right, and if he is wrong, he is also right. If he is really wrong, it must be someone else's fault. So at this moment, if Zhang Dongfang wants to persuade the old couple, the focus is on old man Zhang. But old man Zhang's stubborn temper, he is too clear. If he can't figure it out, you can't lift him away even if you lift a big sedan chair. In the eyes of old man Zhang, being an official is to be the master for the people. Therefore, when Mr. Lin, Mrs. Lin, collided with Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, who had Zhou's support, the balance in Zhang's heart naturally tilted towards Mr. Lin. And Mrs. Lin, Zhang Dongfang now regrets letting his father and mother move here. Obviously, Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin should have regretted it after falling out with their son and daughter-in-law, but what they did at the time was too extreme. It broke the hearts of their son, daughter-in-law and granddaughter, and they really had no other way, so they turned their ideas on old man Zhang and old lady Zhang. Thinking about getting them to help deal with their son and daughter-in-law, later. They must have come to persuade their parents, and then pretend to be a good person again, and achieve the goal again. But at the beginning, old man Lin and Mrs. Lin probably didn't know that the Zhou family would be rehabilitated so quickly, so how did they realize that the house would have to be returned sooner or later? In order to persuade his parents to leave, Zhang Dongfang was devastated. On the other side, Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin were extremely happy. They had been with Mrs. Zhang for more than a month, and they knew that old stubborn man very well. Now that I have agreed to them, I will definitely help them fight for what belongs to me. The youngest son Lin Baohai also admired the old couple's actions this time. At that time, when the old couple and Zhang's old couple got close, he was a little disdainful. Now it seems that this move is really right. Father, mother, Zhang is still old and spicy. My son is convinced. As smart as you two are, if you become an official, you will definitely be a high-ranking official, even bigger than the biggest official in Chu Xia's son-in-law's family. After coming back to report the situation of the Zhang family again in early autumn, Lin Baohai looked at his father and mother with admiration, and began to flatter his mother. The happy face of the old couple was photographed by the younger son, and the depression that had been suppressing in their hearts disappeared without a trace. This time, they asked the villagers to see whether they were parents with deep knowledge or a son who refuses to recognize his parents as soon as his wings are stiff. Excited to hear it, or excited to be photographed, old man Lin promised his youngest son, when your second elder brother comes back, father will ask him to send son-in-law Xia to take our family to work in the city in the early spring and early autumn. He wants to be a worker. If you don't serve as a soldier, if you catch up with the war, it's not safe to be a soldier, it's better to be a worker. You will have food for the rest of your life, and you can find a wife if you are hard to pick, and you don't have to worry about it when you get old. It's still the eldest grandson of the two fathers. Lin Baohai stared at the two sons. Thank you soon, Grandpa. Without your grandpa, how could the second uncle help you? Chu Chu leaned against old man Lin, beat his legs and smiled flatteringly. Grandpa, whether I live a good life or not depends on you. If you can get my second uncle to find a good job for me, I will take care of you in the future. You go to the city to enjoy the blessings. I can't be like that heartless Chu Xia who won't even let my grandma get married. Such a heartless bastard will get retribution sooner or later. Lin Chukiu, are you embarrassed? Xu Chun narrowed his eyes and stared at him. You want to live a good life now, but you are in the light of Chuxia, and while you are in the light of others, you are talking bad about them. Conscientious enough. Lin Chukiu stared back at him with displeasure on his face. Lin Chuchun, whose son are you? Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't fight with Grandpa for a while? Lin Chuchun snorted coldly, turned around and went out. Whoever likes to get rich will get it. I will rely on my own ability to serve as a soldier. Seeing the complexion of the old couple getting darker, the little Aunt Yang Aihua hurriedly apologized for the elder son. Father, mother, the older this child is, the less sensible he becomes. Don't be angry. I will definitely punish him later. Lin Baohai glared at her. You still have the face to say it, it's just something you're used to. Yang Aihua drooped her head and said nothing. Grandpa, Grandma, parents, I see, don't worry about him, he is not caring. Why are you rushing? He is so capable, let him serve as a soldier. Anyway, I will be there in the future. Yang Aihua looked up at his youngest son, and sighed insignificantly. The two sons are the flesh that fell from her body, and she kisses both of them, but she also knows that if she is in trouble, the elder son can save her, but the younger son will not care. Although they are twins, the temperaments of these two children are one south and the other north. If you beat the younger son, he will be sweet-mouthed and will cause trouble, while the older son will be straightforward. Younger son. But she could see clearly that the two children who were really reliable were actually the elder son. The problem is that in this family, she doesn't have the right to speak at all. If she says something like this, Lin Baohai can beat her half to death without the old man and the old lady. This time, she watched her father-in-law and mother-in-law busy with her own eyes, watched her husband jump up and down, and watched the matter develop step by step. She actually let her father-in-law and mother-in-law beat him right, and she was sure of winning, but she was not at all happy. That's right, if this thing succeeds, their family will take advantage of the most, but will things really be as simple as they think? What should I do if I don't lose money by stealing chickens this time? And the trouble becomes even more rigid. Since she married into the Lin family, She has been stared at by her mother-in-law and not allowed to associate with her second sister-in-law, and she rarely interacts with her elder sister-in-law. Therefore, she really has no affection for the children of the other two families. However, she never thought that Chusia would have such a good life and marry such a good family. At first, when she heard that the Zhou family was raided, she also thought the same as others. No wonder the Zhou family was so anxious to marry Chusia, presumably, it was in a hurry to leave heir for the Zhou family. However, when the news spread that the Zhou family had been rehabilitated and that their power had risen to a higher level, she inevitably had no small thoughts of her own. Of course, this small thought was the same as that of her parents-in-law, but she didn't want to pass this kind of she hopes that the other party really recognizes her as a person and is willing to help her son. Only then will it be a long-lasting blessing. But right now, it seems that things don't go as she wants. The old man and the old lady are eagerly waiting to pick the fruit. How can they tolerate her pouring cold water on their head? However, if she doesn't pour cold water on her and offend the second brother's family, the good future of her dreamed son will be gone. What are you thinking? After being poked by her husband, Yang Ihua came back to his senses and looked at him in a daze. What's wrong? Father and mother asked you to cook, why are you so dazed? I'll go right away, Yang Ihua responded and hurried out. I don't think your daughter-in-law is very happy. What are you thinking? Mrs. Lin frowned and glanced outside. You said that you want to marry her, and I will treat her wholeheartedly. When can we warm up her heart? Or because there is no reason for the frustration of the second son and the second daughter-in-law, Mrs. Lin now treats the youngest daughter-in-law disliked, so if there is nothing to do, she will give the youngest daughter-in-law some eye drops in front of her son. Mother, early spring and early autumn have reached the age of looking for a wife. What else can she do if she doesn't stay in the Lin family sincerely? After all these years, it's not like you don't know that she is just that person. Just looking at it makes people bored. Hearing what her son said about her daughter-in-law, Mrs. Lin immediately burst into a smile. My son, what are you talking about? In fact, your daughter-in-law is still thinking about it, and mother is just talking about it. You can't dislike her. Mom, if I didn't look at your face, I would have divorced her a long time ago. Lin Baohai followed the old lady's thoughts and continued to belittle his wife. I've seen enough of that big donkey face. You damn child. The old lady is so beautiful. She thinks that if her son kisses her, he will be far away from his wife, and his own wife will be far away from her. She wants to be a good mother and mother-in-law, and she wants her son to be far away from his wife. Kiss my mother. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 375. The second watch arrives. In this day and age, the telephone is a rare thing, and the timeliness of communication cannot be as timely as in later generations. Therefore, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan decided to return to the village early without having time to inform anyone. Along the way, the couple were very excited. In addition to the excitement of seeing the familiar homeland, there was also the excitement of bringing surprises to their relatives. Luo Xiaoxian was also excited. After the car drove into the Hunky commune, she never took her eyes off the car glass in order to allow herself to return in a fair manner. Chu Xia dragged Xiaoxian Tongzi back. Relatively speaking, the mood in early summer is much calmer. One is that her feelings for Dalian village are not very deep, and the other is that sending her parents home means that she will not see her parents for a while, which is really not something to be happy about. Therefore, along the way, her emotions formed a sharp contrast with those of her parents and Luo Xiaoxian. However, she also realized that for her parents, no matter how good the outside world is, it is not as good as Dalian village. Only here can they feel their roots. This made her very tangled. Should she let her parents stay with her, or let them live with familiar people? Jingzhe has been watching her through the mirror, but, in front of so many people, he can't persuade her, and there is more worry in his eyes. His current feeling for Chu Xia is more like that of his younger sister, but it seems to be a little closer than his younger sister. ZenMaleLead once asked him jokingly, if she and Chu Xia were in danger at the same time, who would his first reaction be to save? He thought about it carefully and answered truthfully. He will save Chu Xia. He told ZenMaleLead very clearly that he had an element of love for her now. But it hasn't reached the stage of being inseparable, and Chu Xia has the same position in his heart as his elder sister Jingyi. However, because Chu Xia is his younger sister, he naturally has to cherish her more. After he finished answering, there was obvious disappointment in ZenMaleLead's eyes, but then she said with a frank smile. She had expected the answer to be like this a long time ago, and the reason why she still asked was to see how long it would take for her to occupy a position in his heart closer than that of her relatives. Knowing that she gave him a step down, he was not without guilt at the time. It was his blessing that such a generous girl liked him. He will completely transform his feelings for Chu Xia into family affection. And right now he cares about her because Zhou Mikang is not around, and there are more risk factors around her than ZenMaleLead, when Zhou Mikang comes back. Naturally, he wouldn't mix it too much. A brother is a brother, there are some things. It needs a husband to do it. It's not that he didn't notice the car that had been following him, and he knew it. As long as he speaks, Zhang Qi and Ma Chao will immediately take over his position. However, he was reluctant to give up the right to help her and care about her during this period of time. Well, let them follow. It's not that Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe didn't notice their daughter's depression, but at this moment, they knew that any comfort would be futile. Parting is always a sad thing. They can only let go of their daughter faster if they act happier. As usual, the car went to Xiaolin village first. MRS Zhao saw the group of people who came suddenly, and couldn't speak with excitement. Father, mother, we are back. Is elder brother and sister-in-law at home? Grandma, grandpa, we are back, miss us. Grandpa, grandma, how are you two elders? Grandma, grandpa, do you still know me? Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, and Chuxia Xiaoqing stood under the Kong, scrambling to say hello to the old couple, and finally calmed down the old couple. MRS Zhao was anxious to get off the Kong to boil water, but Zhao Yulan hurriedly stopped her. Mom, I come, let Baohe and the children chat with you and Dad. Aunt Yulan, let me come as the prospective daughter-in-law of the Zhao family. Luo Xiaoqing blushed and competed with Zhao Yulan for a job. Let's pretend to be able to do it here. If I let you light the fire, when will this pot of water be able to drink? Yulan, how can you say that about a child? MRS Zhao glared at her daughter and waved to Luo Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing, come here, come and sit with grandma. Don't be coy, you're not the kind of coy person in the first place. It's too pretentious to pretend like that. Chu Xia pushed the flushed Luo Xiaoqing to the old lady's side, and continued to tease, Grandma, don't let her lie. By the way, you have seen her look crazy before, she can't lie to you even if she wants to. I'm already an adult daughter-in-law, and I still talk so unforgivingly. MRS Zhao doted on her granddaughter's forehead dotingly, and looked at her granddaughter carefully with her eyes. After a while, she nodded with satisfaction. Yes, it's better than when we left. He got fatter, his face became ruddy, and his hair healed too. This is a good marriage, and he brought my Xia family over here. By the way, Xiaomi, why didn't he come? Yeah, where's Xiaomi? Mr. Zhao also asked. I was hoping that he would come back and have a drink with me. Why didn't this happen? He was on a mission, and he couldn't come back for a while, so Brother Jing sent us back, Chu Xia said, dragging Jingzhe to the front. Grandma and Grandpa still know Brother Jing, right? This kid, why are you talking so sad? Mr. Zhao looked helpless. I've been calling him Xiaji for a long time, but you didn't listen? You even asked me if I knew him. That's right, I was also talking to Xiaja just now, this child. Mrs. Zhao glanced at her granddaughter's belly while talking. Xia, don't you have any happy events to tell grandma? What's the happy event? Chu Xia blinked. Yes, my father-in-law and the others have been rehabilitated, and the Zhou family is better than before. The surprised old lady Zhao turned into a helpless expression after hearing this. Aren't you happy to hear about this? Chu Xia asked wonderingly. Happy, but your parents have already written about this matter, and it has already spread outside. What I want to know is other happy events. It's spread outside. Chu Xia looked puzzled. How is it possible? Who will pass on the good news? She was always worried that others would question the Zhou family. Deliberately putting gold on her family's face is unbelievable out of 10, so she was still thinking about how to make her parents not angry. Mrs. Zhao shook her head. I don't know who spread the word. Anyway, everyone in the village came to congratulate me, so we knew it was spread outside. Zhou Mikang did this, Jingzhe interjected. He was worried about this before, so he asked his acquaintances here to spread the news in advance. Some things need to be spread, which is actually not difficult. Son. You also participated. Chu Xia looked at him and asked in an affirmative tone. Grandpa's protégés are here, and I made use of them a little bit. Jingzhe smiled embarrassedly. I can't just watch the godfather and mother come back to be angry, can I? Both Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao knew what Jingzhe was thinking. Although they were very grateful to him at this time, they didn't know how to say it, so they could only laugh along. Seeing Jingzhe's uneasiness, Lin Bao he hurriedly said, Xiaozhe, godfather and godmother won't be polite to you. Who told you to be our Xia's elder brother? This child is younger than me, and I will be your godmother. The most regretful thing is that there is no more one to accompany her, but fortunately, this child is a blessed one, and we can rest assured that we have the protection of your brother. Jingzhe looked at him gratefully, and said, I treat Chu Xia as my own sister. Besides, Zhou Mikang is not here, so my brother should help my sister more. Our family Xia is a blessed child. Mrs. Zhao may feel a little neglected by her future granddaughter-in-law after she finished speaking, so she hugged Luo Xiaoxian. Our family Qi Liang is also blessed, such a good daughter-in-law gave us a gift in advance. Grabbing it, I feel at ease in my heart. Zhao Yulan boiled water and came in, made tea, and the family sat on the kong to chat, and everyone talked about the things after they parted. When the sun was about to set, Zhao Yushan, Li Aiwan and Zhao Kiwi came back from work. Seeing this, a large group of people were also extremely happy. Let's make dumplings tonight. It's just right. I cut a piece of meat today and haven't moved it yet. After saying hello, Li Aiwan hurried to find the food village, and Zhao Yulan hurriedly grabbed her. Sister-in-law, we are just waiting for you. I came back to say hello with my elder brother before leaving. I don't know if the house over there has been rented out. We originally said that we would come back in 2 days. When we came back so suddenly, we don't know if they have moved out. But fortunately, that house has a lot of rooms. We calculated that even if the old couple hadn't moved out, there were still 3 rooms to live in. They really couldn't fit in, and Gang Shun's family could also live in it. However, no matter what, we have to go back in advance to take a look and tidy up. It will be inconvenient not to be in the dark, and it will be even more troublesome if the old couple falls asleep. What Zhao Yulan said was reasonable, so Li Aiwan stopped forcing her to stay and said, Yulan, my sister-in-law won't play tricks with you. Come back tomorrow so our family can have a good meal. Okay. Okay, let's come together tomorrow. Xia and Xiaoxian took 3 days off. They will stay for 1 day tomorrow and have to leave the day after tomorrow. They will have dinner at home tomorrow and then go to her sister-in-law's house. Come back in the evening. The morning after tomorrow let's go, okay. Yulan, Mom and Dad didn't love you for nothing, they know where you are and where you are. Li Aiwan smiled and looked at the old man and the old lady. Father, Mother, Yulan misses you so much, Doesn't she feel so beautiful? Zhao Yishan stared at his wife and said, you are a sister-in-law, if you say this in front of your brother-in-law, you won't be afraid that your brother-in-law will take revenge on you. Lin Bao he hurriedly said, brother, I don't hold grudges. What my sister-in-law said is the truth. I also feel that father-in-law and mother-in-law are closer. What Yulan said is exactly what I think.